What is up, everybody? Today's gonna be the weekly outlook for August 10th to August 14th, and in this video, I'm gonna be going over the earnings we had this week, the news we had this week, and also what steps I'm looking at coming into this week, right? So this week is looking very insane, right? Very good week because we're all-time highs on SPY. QQ is showing momentum, so you want to see QQ now break all-time highs next. Bunch of tech names are now setting up on the higher time frame with momentum, right? I'll be talking about those, right? I'm going to be going over 4 steps I'm going to be looking at very closely coming into this week, and also insane earnings for space stocks and Stern stocks as well. And also, there's also Red Fuller news we have to go over. So let's get into that right in this video. So Red Fuller news, right? We have Wednesday, we have CPI, and Thursday we also have Red Fuller news for PPI. So Wednesday and Thursday are looking like very solid days for news. Otherwise, right, no news Monday and Tuesday. So I expect overall for stock market, Monday is gonna be slower, right? Because there's no news Monday. But earnings is going to be absolutely insane this week, guys. So earnings is going to be the most important thing in my opinion this week, just because, right, I'm invested in these names, so I'm going to be looking at them especially, right? So yeah, what earnings we have this week, guys? Like, if you look at them, we have some insane names, especially for space stocks, right? So we have AST, right? We have Rocket Lab. So literally on Monday after hours, very important names reporting for space. And then coming into Tuesday, we have like SMCI, CoreWeave, light. So we have photonic stocks as well reporting. So we have photonics, right? We have space. So a lot of important kind of sectors that if you're invested in, you have to kind of keep an eye out for to see if these names are actually doing good or not, right? So NBIS as well, right? NeoCloud, this name is very important for me as well. Otherwise, right, not really anything crazy for tech names, but this will be important for, in my opinion, those space names, right? But yeah, for me, right, very important earnings for me, but for other people, maybe might not be. But like, if you guys are not invested in space or NeoCloud, you guys are like missing out, in my opinion, or photonics, right? Like what are you doing, you know? But anyways, right, otherwise nothing really else too crazy, right? AMAT, I don't really care about that, to be honest. Otherwise, anything else, you know, is what it is, right? But yeah, now let's go over the setup. Let's go over the setups, what I'm looking at more specifically, right? What names are looking in the higher time frame. So the first name, the first name I'm gonna be going over, right? Number one, right? What is it? It's gonna be Microsoft, right? So Microsoft's gonna be the number one name I'm gonna have on watch coming into this week. And I'm gonna be honest, there's no like number one watch, even though I just said that. There's no number one watch. It's just multiple really good names with high time frame momentum that we want to keep an eye out for, right? And we just want to play with the trend, right? We're options traders. My strategy specifically is playing with momentum, right? That is the easiest, most consistent strategy. So I just want to play with momentum. So for me, I'm gonna keep an eye out on Microsoft, right? Very, very simple kind of thesis coming into this play, right? I just want to see us break above high day, right? Pretty much retest that previous high level and then show strong bars, and then I can target that next liquidity level, which should be that 5, 12, 29, the higher time frame. So very, very kind of simple thesis on Microsoft coming into this week, and I'll be looking on that as well, right? This might not play out on Monday, this might not play on Tuesday, right? Because there's no news on those events, but if we can kind of see this consolidate and then break above that level, then I can see us kind of playing with that momentum / continuation on Microsoft clearly, because there's clearly that higher time frame momentum on this name, right? So that's gonna be one of the main watches I'm going to be looking at coming into this week. Now, number two, I'm going to be looking at Nvidia. So Nvidia also has that higher time frame momentum, right? You guys can kind of see, if you've been watching my recaps or my outlooks, that like you can kind of see how I'm kind of making or how I'm kind of forming a weekly outlook or a thesis before the market opens, just by looking at the higher time frame, seeing the momentum, because I'm trying to play them with the momentum. I'm not trying to play and chop, right? Like, I'd rather play Nvidia, Microsoft, keep it on those names rather than playing on with Apple, right? Like, so there are some other names that clearly has no momentum or way less momentum than those names, right, that have the momentum, right? So let's go back to Nvidia. Let's talk about what I'm gonna look at. So very simple as well, right? What I want to see in Nvidia, simply a break above this 225 hold psychological level, a retest of that zone, and then continuation to the upside, also all-time highs as well. So I want to see all-time highs on Nvidia with that push, ideally with NQ, which is QQ breaking all-time highs as well, right? SPY is already above all-time highs, so I just want to see that just consolidate, or just, you know, at least just show the higher highs and higher lows, right? So this week is looking pretty insane for space stocks, photonics, all-time highs on QQ, potentially tech names are showing relative strength. So this is one of those weeks where you want to keep a bigger eye out for, right? Like, in the past couple of months, right, the past 2 months have been slower, right? Besides last week, right? Besides last week, right? The months have been slower because we're consolidating, right? But this week, we can clearly see there's going to be some sort of momentum, right? There's potential for this week / month for some insane moves. So this is the kind of the month where you want to have more sizing, more aggressiveness, more kind of more kind of more conviction in your plays, because there's momentum, right? Otherwise, like 2 months ago, a month ago, right, there's literally trash months, right? And you know, but yeah, so Nvidia kind of main watch as well, right? What do you want to see here? Simply break, retest other zone, and target the higher time for liquidity, right? Clear objectives on this name. I can actually mark out the levels as well right here. So above, right, this clearly strong area, that 227.41. What's the next level we want to target on Nvidia, right? I'll give you guys a second, right? I can actually see one right here, right? So next level we're target is gonna be this 220, 230, 227, right? And then next level, what is it gonna be, right? We're gonna zoom in here. Actually, it's gonna be this 233.28, and then I'm just gonna mark out this 236 whole psychological level is my final TP, because at this time of 236, I expect a strong pop. I expect a strong pop into all-time high zone, right? And yeah, that is going to be the levels and what I'm looking at on Nvidia, right? So bunch of kind of opportunities on Nvidia, right? So we want to keep an eye on that as well. Now let's talk about another name. Let's talk about Tesla, right? So Tesla as well, this does have some potential, but it's gonna be a little bit different type of player, right? So you kind of have to understand this is going to be a different type of play than usual, because this is a gap fill, right? So Tesla had a very strong drop with earnings, and so if we can kind of break back above this 330 zone, then Tesla does have room all the way back up to this 344.82. So we have a very kind of big gap fill on Tesla from this big strong drop prior. So I'm looking at Tesla as well, because Tesla does tend to run, you know, just Tesla is a really nice stock to day trade generally. So this name, right, what can we kind of mark out for? So on this name, right, like technically you can mark this entire order block, as technically it is an order block, right? And hold up, so we can mark out the entire order block. And what I want to see on Tesla is simply just momentum, right? Coming to Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, I just want to see strong price action, and I can just play a break, right? Retest of this order block, and then all-time highs move. Or you can technically swing this name as well. So this name does technically look good for swings as well to the upside. So, but I don't really like doing swings, right? Just because I just don't like doing swings, right? It's not like I can't make money off it, right? Like, but like I just don't like doing swings. But technically, right, if we can break above the 330, then swings do kind of look good for that gap fill above to 344.68, right? So that is the play or the plan that I'm gonna have on Tesla. So that's what I'm gonna keep an eye out for, right? Now what's the last name I was looking at? Look, you forgot. Oh yeah, my bad. Last name I'm gonna be looking at. So the 4 top watches. Now the last one will be Palantir, right? Palantir, kind of clear relative strength, right? Kind of very obvious. If you guys look at all the prior names I had watched, right, you kind of can see what I'm looking at. My criteria on all of them is going to be clearly, I'm looking at stocks with momentum, because that's the easiest type of trade and most consistent type of trade you can catch. When you're trading with momentum, especially on options, right? If there's no momentum on your trade, then like your trade probability is gonna go down to like shit, you know? So you have to have momentum, right? So Palantir is clearly gonna be on watch, right? This name has insane momentum, right? The levels, I really don't have levels marked for this name, right? I'm gonna have to like go down and kind of dissect levels, right? We kind of mark out this pivot level right here, this 172 whole psychological level, right? What's gonna be the next area of liquidity on Palantir? I would mark out this 175 is gonna be the next level on Palantir, inclusive strong buying selling at that zone, and then next level I'm gonna have at that 180, right? So yeah, I think that looked pretty good. Yeah, you can actually mark out this level as well here, but I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, so those are your levels on Palantir for the upside, your liquidity targets, and yeah. So again, kind of obvious play on Palantir. You have 2 kind of scenarios. I probably expect a gap up on this name coming to Monday, just with the strength we have. But like, let's be honest, right? Like what I'm gonna see or what I'm gonna expect to see on this name is gonna be something like this. The less strength is gonna be this scenario, or we see a gap up. Hold up, we see a gap up coming into Monday, and then retest of that to the upside. So then we can target that 180 on Palantir, right? So that's what I'm gonna kind of see. I know it kind of looks stupid, but like as long as you can kind of get what I'm saying, then that's all that matters, right? But yeah, that's gonna be the 4 main watches I'm gonna be watching coming into this week for the stock market, right? We went over news, we went over earnings, we went over the 4 top watches, and that's literally all you have to do, guys. You don't have to do this insane kind of prep where you're doing 3 hours. Like, no. We know the names, higher time frame. We're gonna keep it out of those names, and then we know the news, we know the earnings, and that's pretty much it, right? Like, and that's literally the plan you have to have for both stocks and options, right? Because I do both, so that's literally the plan you have to have for both. I like, and it's that simple. Oh damn, it's a 9-minute video. Ooh. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like these videos are not possible to make short. Like when I initially tried making these outlooks, I tried making them short as possible, so you know you can watch it, go by your day. But there's just so much information and so much kind of like explaining. I feel like that it just cannot be sub 5 minutes. You know, you have to kind of have a longer kind of video. But yeah, that is pretty much the weekly outlook for this video or for this week, right? If you guys got value, which you should have, right? Don't forget to like, subscribe, join the Discord down below. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You know, this week is looking absolutely insane. So yeah, let's lock in. Peace.